Crazy German laws. 6 things that are forbidden in Germany. Let's take a look. Willkommen. My name is Sean Huggins and this is React with Hugs.
I want to see how he reacts when he thinks no one's watching.
I can't help it if he's weird.
He's American.
He's going crazy with that work.
Everybody reacts differently.
I think he's weird, but that's me.
He's American, you know.
Welcome to React with Hugs. Let's hop straight into today's comment of the day. So today's comment of the day comes from Leobeck8074, and they say, there is so much space between your eyebrows. Not bad. I have only 2 to 3 centimeters, but these 2 to 3 centimeters are really hairy. I don't like my eyebrows. What? I don't really know how to I don't even know how to respond to this, to be honest. Yep, I got nothing. It is not very often that I am speechless, but this is one of those times. I don't even understand what is happening with this comment, so we're just going to move on to today's reaction. Thank you for the comment. It helps the algorithm. Be sure to comment below. Anyways, today we are back with Feli from Germany, and we're going to be checking out crazy German laws. This should be interesting. 6 surprising things that are forbidden in Deutschland. So let's just hop straight into it and see what is verboten in Deutschland. Los geht's.
It's common in the US, but illegal in Germany? Here are 6 crazy German laws that you should know about.
The only one that I can think of is you can't turn right on red in Germany, but you can do that in America when you're driving. You can turn right on red.
Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Felicia. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, but I've been living here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on and off since 2016. Now, whenever people here in the US find out that I'm German, they usually ask me a bunch of questions, and one thing that I get asked a lot is if Germans are really as obsessed with rules and laws as they're often portrayed. And my answer is usually, not every single German loves rules, of course, but yes, overall, following rules is definitely something that is valued a lot in Germany.
Oh, yes.
And Germans like to have regulations and laws for almost everything. However, some of those laws can be really surprising and funny, and that's why today I'll tell you guys about 6 crazy German laws. Now, of course, I'm not going to make you read any long, complicated, wordy laws in German in this video.
Thank goodness.
But
I can't even read in English.
To be able to read and understand those laws, I would recommend learning German on Babbel. Now, law number 1, it's illegal to run out of fuel on the Autobahn. As most of you probably know, it's
illegal to run out of fuel on the Autobahn. That's like kicking someone when they're down. Like, obviously, no one's gonna run out of fuel on the Autobahn on purpose, but damn, you do it on accident, and then also you get probably like fined or something, or probably not arrested, but fined. Man, that sucks.
Autobahn is Germany's interstate system. If you want to learn more about it, you can check out these 2 videos. And when it comes to driving, there are indeed a lot of regulations that you have to follow as a driver in Germany. Like your car has to pass inspections every 2 years, called TÜV. Otherwise, you're not allowed to drive on the streets. You also have to have certain equipment, like a first aid kit and warning vests in your car. And in the winter, it's mandatory to have winter tires on your car. And yes, you're also obligated to always have enough gas in your tank as a driver, and if you don't and actually run out of gas on the Autobahn, you can be fined and might have to pay 25 up to 120 euros, since this is considered preventable.
Imagine you don't have the money for gas and then you run out of gas and then you get a fine on top of that and you don't have the money for the fine. Oh man,
and in general, it's also illegal to stop or park on the Autobahn, even in the emergency lane. I mean, unless your vehicle is actually breaking down, but Even then, you won't see a lot of cars just left there on the side of the Autobahn. Whereas in the US, you regularly see broken down vehicles on the side of the interstate that were just basically parked there. And of course, since most places in the US don't use radar traps to enforce speed limits, but have cops pull people over instead, you'll often also see a car that was pulled over and also a cop car behind it in the emergency lane as well. On the German Autobahn, that would actually be considered jeopardizing the road safety, especially since on many parts of the Autobahn there is no speed limit. So
I do like that better because, dude, standing next to speeding cars, if you're a police officer trying to talk to somebody who you pulled over, that would be scary.
People are going crazy fast. Fun fact, apparently this also became illegal in a small town here in Ohio earlier this year, in Youngstown, which is close to Cleveland, so don't do it there either. Number 2, it's not allowed to name your baby Superman. Now this one isn't technically a law and you won't get fined for this, but fact is, and this is usually hard to believe for Americans, that in Germany you can't just give your baby any name you want. It'll have to be approved by the local Standesamt, like the civil registration office, and there are rules as to what you can and can't name your kid. I mean, of course there are rules for that. It's Germany. We pretty much have a rule for everything. Now,
dude, you have to ask the government permission to name your child?
Whether the name you picked for your baby will be approved or not depends on different things, such as whether it's a name that actually exists, whether it'll be a reason for bullying later on in the child's life, and sometimes they also don't accept names that aren't obviously a female or a male name, which this last one is kind of ridiculous if you ask me.
Wow.
Here are just some examples of names that have been rejected before.
Ooh,
Waldmeister, Junge, which just means boy, Rosenherz, so rose heart, Bierstube, so kind of like a beer pub, Satan, or Satan in German, McDonald's, Superman, Pain, Gucci, Whiskey, or the last names of politicians like Schröder, which was Germany's chancellor before Merkel,
Dennis
or
Schröder.
Lenin. And since I already see all these question marks pop up in your guys' eyes,
God.
you won't be able to call your kid Hitler either, even though the first name Adolf is technically allowed. These rules are one of the reasons why you won't find a lot of crazy first names in Germany, and also why Germans are often very fascinated by what American celebrities name their kids.
I got news for you, sister. It's not just American celebrities. A lot of Americans, they make up their own names for their kids, and it can get very crazy very quickly. Yeah.
Number 3, deny the Holocaust. Now, this one doesn't necessarily fit into a list of crazy or funny laws, because I think it's neither of those. However, many people from outside of Germany and outside of Europe aren't aware of this and find it a very interesting law when they first hear about it. It's illegal in Germany to deny the Holocaust. So you can't just say that the crimes of the Holocaust didn't happen. If you do, you can either get fined for it, or you can actually get prison time of up to 5 years. Now, I've read many comments on the internet saying that this indicates that Germany doesn't have freedom of speech. Well, that's not true. We do have freedom of speech, Meinungsfreiheit, as a fundamental right in Germany. However, freedom of speech can be limited by other general laws, by provisions for the protection of young persons, Jugendschutzgesetz, and another person's right to personal honor. Those general laws, which are like the first example of what can limit your freedom of speech, cannot be laws that just discriminate against one specific opinion. They have to be neutral and they have to protect another legal right. In this case, the right that they're protecting is the dignity of the Holocaust victims and their families, which is something that we value very, very highly in Germany, because after World War II, when the Federal Republic of Germany was founded, the very first paragraph of our constitution, the Grundgesetz, became human dignity shall be inviolable. To respect and protect it shall be the duty of all state authority. So that's why denying the Holocaust is illegal in Germany, even though we do have freedom of speech, and it's also illegal in 16 other countries.
Well, I gotta say, I understand why it would be illegal. I don't understand the nuances of how it's still considered freedom of speech to outlaw being able to deny it, though obviously I don't disagree with not being able to deny it because that's ridiculous.
Number 4, it's forbidden to mow the lawn on Sundays or play piano at midnight.
At midnight?
Germans like silence. This is something you'll notice if you're ever in Germany,
I definitely knew that you can't cut the lawn on Sunday. I did not know that you can't play piano at midnight.
especially if you come from a louder culture like the American one. Germans tend to speak pretty quietly, especially in public. And we also appreciate having some peace and quiet at home, which is why there are tons of laws and regulations about how much noise you're allowed to make and when. Sundays and public holidays have actually been defined as rest periods, Ruhezeiten, for the whole day, which means that you're not allowed to make loud noises that could disturb others. This includes mowing your lawn or using a drilling machine, for example. So if you were trying to do some renovations at home, not on Sundays. This also applies to nighttime rest periods, which usually start at 8 p.m. and sometimes even to lunch hours. The rules for the lunch hours usually vary though, depending on where in Germany you live, and some rules will even be made by the house management of your apartment building. The Federal High Court of Justice has even ruled that playing an instrument in rental apartments is only allowed at certain times, from 8 a.m. to noon and from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And even then, you can only practice for a certain amount of time. Piano players only get up to 2 hours per day, and drummers, for example, get 45 minutes in the summer and 90 minutes in the winter.
Holy crap. How do drummers practice? How do pianists practice? What the frick? Are there like no great German drummers in recent years or something? Like how are you a drummer in Germany if you can only practice 90 minutes a day? Oh man,
yes,
that's
German
crazy.
laws are very specific. Number 5, it's not allowed to keep urns at home. This topic doesn't really come up a lot in conversations in everyday life, fortunately, but the Germans among you may have wondered about this when watching American movies before, because in the US, it's pretty common that after a loved one dies, you take the urn home with you. I've definitely seen this in movies and shows before where either it's part of a comedic moment because someone doesn't realize that it's an urn, or, of course, it's part of a drama. Well, that's something that you won't ever see in Germany because we have a law called Friedhofszwang, cemetery compulsion, that says that any mortal remains have to be buried at a cemetery or alternatively after a cremation.
What about pets, though? Is it different for pets? Haustier.
You can have a sea burial in Germany as well. Now, in the past few years, the rules have been lifted a little in different states. In Bremen, for example, it's now allowed to spread ashes on privately owned property, but you're still not allowed to take the urn home with you. In general, there's pretty big differences when it comes to funerals and cemeteries in Germany and the US. I've actually had that topic on my list for a while, so let me know if you'd want me to talk about that more in depth at some point. And number 6, you'll be punished for saying "du" to a cop. Okay, those
What? Du? That's it?
You who speak German probably understand this law right away, but for everyone else, "du" is the German word for you. Now, why would that be a problem if you use that with a cop? Because in German, just like in other languages like French or Spanish, we have a formal and an informal address. So depending on what relationship you have with the person you're talking to, you'll use a different pronoun and also a different grammar structure when you talk to them. Du is the informal pronoun for you, while capital Z is the formal one. The formal one is usually used with people who are significantly older, strangers, people of authority, or just people that you have a professional relationship.
If you don't use the formal words, you can actually get in trouble? Holy crap, that is hardcore.
It really depends on the specific situation, but if it's not a child or someone you're close with, you usually don't use the informal address with them until you two allow each other to do
Glad
so.
I never got in trouble with the
Now, since police are
police.
people of authority and you speak to them in a professional context, you use the formal address with them, Sie. And if you don't, and use "du" with them instead, that can actually be viewed as insulting an official, Beamtenbeleidigung, because it's disrespectful, and you may have to pay 600 euros for it. The actual fines are
That's the highest fine on the list.
decided on a case-to-case basis, but this is one number I found. I also found that showing a cop the finger gets you up to 4,000 euros. Now, technically, insult.
Okay, I think that also is forbidden in America as well, showing the cop the finger, if I had to guess. I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to Google it, but that's probably not allowed in America either. But still, 4,000 euros, that's crazy.
Insulting an official is just based on the general laws of not insulting others. There's no extra laws just about insulting officials, but I would assume that police enforce this much more than regular people do, so you should definitely be careful here. But also, I'm pretty sure that they would only enforce it if you obviously do it on purpose, and if they can tell that you're a non-native speaker and try to speak German with them and just make an honest mistake, I'm sure it's not a big deal.
Okay, that's fine then. That makes sense.
I have come across a few more very interesting German laws, like the ones about beekeeping, but maybe I'll mention those in the future at some point. For now, what other funny, crazy, or just surprising German laws have you heard of? Share them with me and everyone else in the comments below.
Oh man, Germany got some crazy laws. I'm sure America has crazy laws too, because America has laws that nobody has looked at for like 50 years or 100 years, and people just forget about, and instead of like taking them out of circulation and not being laws anymore, people just don't follow them. So there's like really weird, crazy laws in random places in America where it's like you can't shave your goat on a Monday unless your daughter is in the clock tower or something. I don't even know. It's just like the most random, crazy laws. But these are like all over Germany apparently, and some of these are pretty brutal. I'm curious though what you guys think. Do you have any more crazy German laws that you can think of? If you do, let me know down in the comments below. At any rate though, that's all the time that I have for today. Thank you guys so much for being here, and as always, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.